Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're unpacking a massive, kind of hidden issue that's quietly draining millions of dollars from the automotive industry every single year. We're talking about the way dealerships handle their people. We're going to dive into how a platform called Keystone takes chaotic, completely inconsistent training and transforms it into a highly scalable, visible system. If you've ever wondered why dealerships pour absolute fortunes into leads and tools only to have execution just fall totally flat on the showroom floor, well, you are in the right place. We spend so much time optimizing our tech stacks, but we almost always forget about the human operating layer that actually has to use them.
All right, let's take a quick look at our roadmap for today. We'll start with the dealership training problem, look at what Keystone actually does, break down its 4 pillars of benefit, measure the real ROI, and then finish up with the big picture. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, the dealership training problem. Let's talk about the chaos on the floor. Picture this, it's a new salesperson's very first day. What actually happens? Well, usually, they're handed a messy scatter of random logins, some dusty generic videos, a giant stack of paperwork, and then they're pointed toward a manager who is frankly already way too busy to properly guide them. The training is completely rushed, and follow-up is virtually non-existent. And the direct result of all that? Sky-high turnover, a painfully slow ramp-up time, and just incredibly weak process execution across the board. The really sad part is the genuinely good people just wash out before they even have a chance to succeed.
And this leads us to a pretty harsh reality. Ownership usually sees the result way too late. By the time leadership even realizes a new hire is struggling or a process is broken, the damage is literally already done. The lead has been burned, the customer got a terrible experience, and that employee, they're probably already walking out the door. Leadership is completely blind to the actual development process, so it just becomes this endless reactive cycle instead of a proactive one.
So, Section 2, what Keystone actually does. Let's look at the platform solution.
Simply put, Keystone isn't just another digital filing cabinet to host boring training videos. Not at all. It is a comprehensive workforce platform built specifically to help stores train, coach, measure, and actually develop their people. It takes all that first-day chaos we just talked about and wrangles it into a structured, organized system. By bringing training, live coaching, management reviews, and career development all into one unified place, it turns a scattered mess into a truly measurable journey.
So how does that work in practice? Well, it builds a continuous path. It kicks off with rookie onboarding, getting the new hire into a real structured system on day 1. Then, we get interactive with role-play video submissions. You can't just passively watch a screen here. The system literally requires you to upload videos, complete interactive lessons, and write out text responses. Once submitted, boom, it triggers step 3, AI and manager feedback workflows. The manager is actively pulled right into the loop to review the work. And ultimately, this all builds into a portable career record for the employee, completely replacing messy paperwork with actual trackable progression.
The real game changer here is that Keystone actually watches the development process. Most platforms just host the content and cross their fingers hoping someone watches it. By forcing engagement through mandatory assignments and manager reviews, this creates undeniable proof of progress. It takes all that messy, invisible training and turns it into a crystal-clear system that ownership can actually see, and more importantly, actively manage. You finally know for sure that real development is happening.
Moving on to Section 3, the 4 pillars of benefit. Let's break down exactly how this helps.
This massive operational shift really hits 4 major measurable areas for a dealership. First up, faster ramp-up. You aren't waiting around for months to see if a new hire gets it because the system forces them to prove it early on. Second, better manager accountability. Managers don't have to rely on their memory or post-it notes anymore. The system tells them exactly who's stuck and who needs coaching today. Third is stronger retention. People usually quit when they feel lost or unsupported, right? Giving them a clear path totally prevents that. And fourth, better leadership visibility, giving ownership a real-time pulse on the whole operation.
Think about this question for a second. Are the new people trained? How many times has a dealer principal yelled that down the hall only to get a vague, unconvincing nod from a manager? With Keystone, leadership literally never has to guess again. They can just open up a dashboard and instantly see completion rates, coaching activity, and real, concrete development signals. It completely replaces blind hope with hard data.
All right, Section 4, measuring the real ROI. Let's talk about the money.
Let's translate all these operational improvements into some hard, believable numbers. We'll start with a baseline, $6,000 to $10,000.
That right there represents the average monthly gross contribution of just one productive salesperson. So every single month, a new hire isn't fully up to speed, or every time a potential rock star washes out because of terrible training, that is the exact gross revenue the dealership is leaving sitting on the table. And let me tell you, it adds up incredibly fast.
When you actually map this out, the data is honestly pretty striking. Take a highly conservative scenario over a full year. Let's say the platform only helps one single salesperson ramp up 1 month faster, saves just one failed hire, and saves a manager maybe 3 hours a week in coaching time. Even with that bare minimum, you're looking at $20,000 to $50,000 in value for a single store. It pays for itself. But look at the strong scenario. If you retain 2 additional salespeople, ramp them up faster, and tighten up process consistency, you are suddenly looking at $75,000 to over $150,000 in value per store, every single year.
Now, take those strong ROI numbers and scale them across a standard 10-store auto group. You are staring at $750,000 to over $1.5 million in potential annual value. No joke. Dealerships are already pouring fortunes into leads, CRM tools, and massive advertising campaigns. This is found money, coming entirely from protecting the investments you've already made by actually preparing the people who execute the process.
And this crazy ROI comes down to one fundamental difference in approach. Most platforms out there, they're just passive libraries. They just host content. But Keystone acts as a true human operating layer, actively watching the development process. It's not trying to replace your fancy CRM. It's actively preparing the human beings who log into that CRM to actually sell cars. It gets the employee, the manager, and the owner all aligned on the exact same growth path.
Which brings us to Section 5, the big picture. Let's look at the incredible OEM opportunity here.
Because we're tracking actual development instead of just counting video views, this opens up an unprecedented path for OEMs. For the absolute first time, an OEM can push universal, brand-standard training paths across their entire dealer network. Think about the massive value of that for EV readiness, or huge product launches, or keeping technician certifications legit. Plus, OEMs can get these anonymous workforce readiness signals to know exactly how prepared the network is for a new rollout, all while the local dealer still keeps total control over their own daily management.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to ask yourself a crucial question about your own organization. Is your current training platform just hosting content, or is it actively building workforce readiness? Because if you're just handing out scattered logins and crossing your fingers that busy managers will magically create top performers, you are leaving serious money on the table. It's absolutely time to build a system that proves your people are ready to succeed. Thanks so much for joining me, and I highly encourage you to really take a hard look at how your human operating layer is functioning right now.